Today we are with Jen, the founder of the Blueberry Hill again, and we're going to talk about how did you get your first retailer to sell your product?
Well, we live in Salt Lake City, Utah, and we live in a different house, but close to where we live now. And just a few blocks away, there's a small children's specialty store called Babinski's. And I walked in there and said, "Hey, here's what I have." And luckily enough, they were interested and placed an order, and we fulfilled it. And then even next month, they placed another $1,000 order, and it was so exciting and just fun because it felt like, yeah, somebody wants what I have.
Awesome. Now, did you sell the product to them outright as a wholesaler? Did you do a consignment agreement where they agree to pay you if they sell your product?
With them at the time, I did. I sold it outright, and they had offered that to me. And so I thought, great.
Is that unusual or is that standard?
I think it really just depends. I think if you're walking into somewhere local, I think a lot of people go about it with a consignment type of way because there's a lot of less risk on the retailer end, but that's no way to scale. You can't really do that on a larger setting, but it's definitely a way to get into somewhere that otherwise you might not be able to.
Got it. And by scale, you mean
get in more stores. I mean, I can't be doing nationwide or internationally. Oh yeah, take it if it sells, keep it. If it doesn't, I'll take it back. It's just not, a way to go forward, but it's an easier way. It lowers the barrier to get into a store because you're still taking up shelf space, but they're able to say, hey, there's no risk. If I don't make money off of it, it's not going to hurt me.
Got it. So it's a good way to test without spending a lot of money. So maybe to follow up from last show is if you didn't do the social proof through an Instagram account, you could go through and see if they're willing to buy your product or even even sells. But
it's also nice to be able to take that to a retail store and say, hey, we have this many followers on Instagram or whatever else. I mean, it counterbalances each other.
How do you know how to price it? Like, how much should I sell it to a wholesaler for another store?
If you intend to sell to businesses and not just direct to consumer, you have to start that from day one, because usually the price that you'll sell it to is a keystone price, which is 100% markup, or sometimes they really want more. Nordstrom, for example, really, they say, oh, we have a 52.5% markup on this item. Can we get it on this as well? So you need to leave room in there from day one. You need to say, I can make a profit at this price, even though it's going to sell directly to the consumer at $20. You need to be able to make a profit at 10. So you need to be able to get your product for $5 or less.
So
or maybe not.
If you can make your product for $5, you sell it to a wholesaler for $10, who then resells it for $20?
There's not a strict rule on what your price is versus what you wholesale it for. Almost always, it's going to be keystone. The wholesaler is going to double the price. But ideally, you can make it for $1 and sell it for $10 to the wholesaler.
Right.
I mean, but it's got to be about scale too. I mean, if you can do a lower margin and you're making it for $8 or $9, you've got to sell a lot of widgets or whatever they're going to be in order to be profitable.
Well, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Jen, for sharing your story about how you got your first retailer. And then join us again tomorrow for the next question in our series.
Thanks for having me, John.